Gentlemen, folks are starting to feel the momentum swinging in the Cavs' direction after KD's injury and their latest acquisitions of Andrew Bogut and Darren Williams. But Cleveland has dropped 4 of their last 6 games, and Bogut fractured his tibia just 58 seconds into his Cavs debut. Here's LeBron and Kyrie on the huge hit.
I heard it break. As soon as the collision happened, I heard it break. And when I went over to him and he said it, I already knew. I heard it. I heard it crack.
It kind of took the wind out of our sails a little bit because I think he knew right away. So, we're just hoping that he gets better. Obviously, it's just terrible, man.
Huge break, literally and figuratively, Stephen A. Do you still have the Cavs as your favorite?
Yes, I do. Hasn't changed my mind one bit. Sad to see that Andrew Bogut is gone. Rim protector would help Tristan Thompson out very, very well. I like Derek Williams as well, though. Although I like Derek Williams, he's smaller, but I definitely think he's a frontline player that's going to help them in their front court, rather, along with Tristan Thompson. We all know that LeBron James, despite his greatness and his penchant to be on the perimeter, is 6'8", 250, and can be down low if necessary. The key for me, though, is this. The fact that you acquired Darren Williams, who's a backup point guard, who could spell for both LeBron and Kawhi, I'm sorry, not Kawhi, but Kyrie, and this is something that LeBron had prioritized. Had you lost Darren Williams, I would have far more trepidation than you losing Andrew Bogut. But because it's Andrew Bogut, and that's not how you were necessarily going to beat the Golden State Warriors anyway, assuming they got to that point, I'm not that worried. Maybe I should be if San Antonio's the one that's going to come out of the West instead of Golden State, but I'm still stuck on Golden State and Cleveland giving us all the trilogy that we've been waiting for. And with that belief in mind, I'm just of the mindset that Cleveland, they got Darren Williams. And because they have Darren Williams, a bona fide backup point guard who could start on more teams if he wanted it bad enough, I believe that Cleveland is still the legitimate favorite, not to mention the fact that we don't know how healthy Kevin Durant is going to be once he returns from Golden State. I'm sticking with Cleveland.
Before I even answer this question, let me turn the tables on you from earlier in the show, sir. You hypocrite. All season long, right. Molly, what have we been hearing from our resident NBA guru? Yeah. All season long.
You could just call me Stephen Naismith. That'll be good.
The regular season, well, I thought that was synonymous.
Oh, the foregone conclusion.
The regular season, foregone conclusion. Now all of a sudden, look who's worried about the Warriors making it to the finals.
No one's going to care.
Apparently, it's not a foregone conclusion.
Not worried about it. When Kevin Durant went down, I said that San Antonio could possibly knock them off. Kevin Durant went down.
No longer a foregone conclusion.
Well, it happens. Catastrophic injury. Are we assuming that Durant is back for the playoffs or not?
Well, we're assuming he's back, but you and I both question whether or not he'd be 100%.
Okay, well, it's 2 different conversations. If Kevin Durant is severely compromised, the Cavs are the favorite. Let's assume for a second, though, that he comes back as some form of Kevin Durant, 80% or more of Kevin Durant.
Sure.
When you add a piece like Kevin Durant to a team, you change the chemistry of the team. Even a great player does that, and frequently it takes a year before it gels, and then the following year. The big 3 in Miami, for example, although, Stephen A., as you point out, that was really the formation of a new team. They formed like Voltron, but now it's a new thing. Kevin Durant was joining a well-oiled machine, and you would think a full season is enough time to get him integrated. And maybe now this is a rest for him, and the other players are figuring out how to play together again and all that.
Yeah, but it's adjusting again.
Again and again. Yeah. Here's the bigger picture for me. The devil's usually in the details. And in this case, losing Bogut really hurt the Warriors. Their interior defense and the way they play and the fact that now they're vulnerable to a team that can post. And you mentioned the various players on the Cavs, even though they're not centers, who can post. Well, first of all, I would say Bogut's absence on the Warriors can be exploited, but not by Bogut's presence on the Cavs. I never thought that he was the best player to exploit that anyway. So his going down doesn't change it for me, but I never gave the Cavs the nod over the Warriors. Because even if you look at the details, without Bogut, without Barnes, whatever else it is, they're somehow not the same. They don't have the same magic as last year. I step back and look at the big picture. If I told you we're choosing up teams, and you have Steph and Clay and Draymond, and still you got Iguodala, who do you want, Bogut and Barnes, or do you want KD? If you have a whole season to integrate KD, who's going to be better? The answer is the team with KD. I know it has certain structural, strategic problems. I get it. That's going to be outweighed by adding a player as great as KD. Now look at what happened last year, because these teams are more or less the same. Darren Williams gives them a boost. He does, no question, over Dellavedova. But how much of a boost? Let's put it this way. Last year, the Cavs, behind an impossible finals by LeBron, had to pull off the greatest miracle maybe in the history of the NBA to scrape by the skin of their teeth, luckily, on the road in Game 7. Now you're going to tell me you're going to add KD to that other team? I'm going to step back and say, forget about the details. Let's look at the big picture. Warriors should be favored if KD is playing.
Well, again, you can say they should be favored. My mentality is this. I'm looking at how they lost. Even though KD elevates them because he's so efficient and he's such a superstar extraordinaire, the reality is clear. Cleveland is the more physical team. Golden State can get to the hole, but they're basically a perimeter shooting team. They defend well on the perimeter. If you think you're going to beat them shooting jump shots, it's not going to happen because they have incredible length and they can defend the perimeter. In the post, it's a little bit different because the rough rider that they have is Draymond Green. Zsa Jr., he's not Andrew Bogut as a rough rider. JaVale McGee, I'm not going to be Shaq, but let's just say it again. It's JaVale McGee. So in the end, what we come down to is this. You got the big four, along with the Livingstons of the world, the Iguodalas of the world. These are individuals that can come off the bench, do some things for you along with the starters, but it's getting to the hole off dribble penetration or it's shooting perimeter shots. If you're Cleveland, getting physical neutralizes all of that to some degree because it slowers the pace, and obviously fouls are going to get called. It disrupts tempo, and I think that Darren Williams doesn't take away from any of that, which means Cleveland still gets to be who we saw them be in those last 3 games of the NBA Finals, and I think that helps.
Darren Williams does help, but it may be too little too late because the damage may have already been done. All those trips to the Finals, Olympics, all the USA team, and LeBron James averaging the number of minutes he's averaged so far this season, higher than in recent seasons. For a guy this many.
You just said something very blasphemous.
Go ahead.
You're concerned about the conditioning of LeBron James.
About anybody who's played as many minutes as he has. And by the time you get to Game 7, if it goes that far, of the finals.
All I know is it's not a foregone conclusion
Let me tell y'all something.
I like the Warriors.
Let me tell you something very important about LeBron James.
Okay.
You ever see the LA Fitness and all of these other gyms and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I've always been told that's like LeBron's house. That's the kind of gym he has.
Yeah.
The taking care of his body. This dude will do nothing to compromise his health.
But he was taking care of his minutes before this year.
On that note,